Hello. How are you doing, everyone? Hope everyone's good. Let me know. You know, the usual stuff. We're going to start off with doing something a little bit different today. In fact, we're going to start off doing something I've never done before, which is I'm just going to do a little bit of drawing as I explain an idea in Photoshop. So, you know, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, just let me know that you guys can see and hear me okay. I'm doing good, thanks, Mila. Yeah, doing good. Ready to draw some feet. Looking forward to this. I didn't realize that in all the streams that we've done, we've only ever focused in on feet once. Not really good enough. So we need to look at them again. And with that said, yeah, let's do something a little bit different. Okay. Boom. Hopefully you can see that. And I want to look at this foot together for a second, because we've talked about a number of ideas, and I've talked about how the ankle locks into the foot and that type of thing. Okay, you guys can see me. Just wondering. Okay, I'm gonna kill the stream. I'm gonna assume that you're all still there. I'm having a hard time with the feet. I can do hands. All right, well then feet have come in the nick of time, I would say. Let me just talk about a couple of ideas here. See you well and hear you well. Thank you very much, Lulu. Appreciate it. All right. I've talked about, sorry, let me just get, that'll do. All right. I want to talk about this locking in idea, and I just want to look at the foot in like that's in a kind of a global sense. Because I think there are things that we can do that can help break the foot down and just help compartmentalize, right? Because it's on the surface and at first glance you could go, the feet are really complicated, and they are to some degree. But I think that there's things that we can look for that, as I said, I think can help hone us in and give us structure. So I want us just to look at an idea of how the foot and the ankle lock in together. And if I just do this and I draw this in as an idea, can you see now, if I just turn that on and off, can you see what I'm basically the perimeter that I'm creating there, right? Because we got the bone of the ankle at the tibia. We got the bone of the fibula. Let's just have a quick look at that, just so that we really understand each other. Let me just bring this here for a second. So we're looking at the outside of the foot. So we're looking at this side, right? That makes sense? We're looking at this bone and this bone. So what we're looking at basically is, oh, sorry. This here is this. This here is essentially this section in here. Okay. I like to use this, and as I said, if we look at it just real close up, can you see that very faint dividing line that we've got going in here, right? That I just drew in. Let me make that lower opacity, something like that. That's our connection point. So we can start subdividing, right? We can look at that and we can say, okay, that's where the ankle and the foot kind of connect, right? Then we've got this section kind of coming in here, right? Essentially. And what we're basically looking at there is all this business, right? It's where we've got these tarsus, metatarsus, and phalanges, but the tarsus and metatarsus we've got in this region here, right? And that creates a mass, it creates a protrusion. On top of that, you put the tendons and the little bit of muscle that's there, and ever so slight muscle, and this strap that comes over the top. And what do we have? We essentially have this region in here, okay? So once again, it's a subdivision point. The next kind of subdivision I like to look at is basically, this is where the toes connect. And if we could just like remove the toes just for a second and look at this as a solid form, look at the way that this mass is actually, like if we just put this kind of as a box almost, right? Something like that. So we've got the top of our box coming in here, then we've got the side of the box sitting in here, right? Something like that. So this front section, if you just look at it, it's actually on an angle, right? The connection point is on an angle. So our box is on an angle kind of coming in this direction, right? Then we attach our toes. So we've got this main section in here, where our bones are essentially kind of built up and the stuff on top. Then we've got this section in here. Then we've got this angle, which it's at least conceptually, it's a nice thing to think about, right? And then we've got the toes, and toes are generally quite a bit longer than you think they are. Okay. Now there's one other thing I think that's worth just noting, and I mentioned this before, which is the idea of, we can almost think of it like a sneaker sole sitting in this section in here, right? Doing something like that, and then extending down in this direction as well. And I really do kind of think about this as its own separate shape, something like that, right? Then we've got a little bit of, no man's land kind of in here, which is fine. Obviously, we're only looking at it from one angle, but I do think that these are the things I'm looking for, at least. Mileage may vary depending on what it is, how you like to make an analysis of things. But this is the way I think of it. Now, let's just look at that one more time with a different view. It's actually essentially the same view, but it's just, there's slightly bit of different tension on the foot, but we've got our sneaker sole sitting in here, right? Kind of coming in through here, etc. And look at this lovely connection point of where the ankle and the foot meet. And I really like to think about this as its own kind of idea, right? Sitting in there, something like that. Okay. Once again, look how long those toes are. I at least assume that they're shorter. But once again, also, just while we're at it, look at this angle I'm talking about for the front where the toes connect. I think this is actually quite an important point. So that's why I'm banging on about it. And then the box, obviously, coming up like so. Then our trainer sole doing something like that. You could even think about this all the way from here. You could think about this whole section in here as a single idea if you really wanted to. That's fine too, 100%. And I do that often. It would to some degree depend on the pose and the angle, right? But this is the idea. Okay. So with that said, hopefully that helps. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm just trying to think. Oh yeah, this is interesting too. We're looking down at the foot, right? This would be the inside of the foot here. This is obviously the outside, but I do think that this is really, as a large idea from graphically, this is kind of important. Is look how from heel all the way up to the little toe, look how we're really almost dealing with a straight there. There's curvature on this side, right? But we've got a real kind of straight along this passage on this side, from here all the way up to here. And once again, there's our subdivision. Look at our toes attaching all here, and then that mass of the bones and all of that's kind of sitting in this region in here. Okay. Okay. Are we good? I will move away from Photoshop. So let me just move this out the way. And let me just put my drawing board back. All right. Cool. Okay. Sorry, I'm just closing up Photoshop so I can see my reference. There we go. Okay. All right. We are going to draw. You guys still with me? So we have, now I picked these poses because I feel like they're feet that we see, if that makes sense. Yeah, they're just, they're angles and poses that we come across quite a bit. So for example, if you look at the, the second pose and the last pose, I feel like we've had a number of situations where we've come across feet in those particular configurations. So it makes sense for us to try and, hit poses and challenges that represent those ideas. Okay, I'm going to hit the clock, exhibit 2. You're very welcome, Canvas. Yeah, look, it's because on the surface feet are complicated, and look, they're not easy. Let's be real. It's easy to break them down and draw over a photo. It's another thing to draw them. But if we can just break the complex into simpler ideas, hopefully it helps. All right. First pose. The clock is started. So, let's see now. Yes, I am back to the smaller board, you're right. Because that was a disaster. Okay, so I'm thinking already about where my ankle attachment is going to be sitting in, somewhere in here. I'm afraid of this session. Oh, you shouldn't be. It'll only be a little bit terrifying. Feet are the nose of the leg. We are going to be focusing. We're going to be using, now we've got this extra session each week. We're going to be using it to focus in on one of the sessions to focus in on parts, so to speak. Noses are absolutely on the list. You know, I want to do shoulders, for example, where we just kind of focus in on shoulders. That might be the next one. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so my shape is completely off there. I'll come back to that. Okay, so my tibia is sitting, not tibia, fibula is sitting there. My sneaker heel sitting in here. The knuckle of the little toe right there. Look how, with the tension of the tendon, look how the tendon coming from this point here is really kind of almost creating like this box-like flat surface to this top surface, and then we kind of come down like so. Super interesting. If we go from the crease here and we come across that turning point where we go away from where all the business of the bone is, it's about there. Then we kind of come down this way. Then we come down here to our toes and our big toe, kind of continuing on down to about there. Sorry, I need to just turn off my heater so I don't die. Okay. Jim says, what are your thoughts on doing sessions on more imaginative drawings? Something I'd be quite open to, Jim. The only problem with that is it's a tough thing, at least for a live stream, for people to draw along if you're drawing from imagination. You can see right up here, tarsus kind of bulge. But yeah, I kind of like the idea of. We've got a lot of direction change here, guys. We need to be mindful of. Yeah, I think that there could be, like, you know, just have to figure out with the imagination thing. I'm not sure. Yeah, as I said, how we would kind of pull that off, but yeah. Tosh says, seeing the references feels like heaven to me because I've been watching these just like that for months. Oh, without the reference. Yeah, it makes a difference, right, Tosh? Makes a bit of a difference. Well, it gives you the opportunity to actually participate in a meaningful way. Because as I've said many times, and I know that there is a tendency for some people to do it, which is just copying my drawings is not necessarily the greatest path of development. We got the knuckle, so to speak, sitting there, coming down to toes, the toe next to the large toe sitting in here. The toes are kind of scrunched up, so it does add another layer of complexity. So it's a good kind of study of how do we want to simplify, for example. So those knuckles under tension, aren't they? It's kind of sitting in here, and then those tendons. There is gesture in the foot, too often ignored. 100% there is. They can be really powerful. There's also there's the context of how we use the feet, right? Which I think is also important. My measurements are a little bit naff here. I think that needs to go up to about there. Because, like the hands, very often the feet are the final idea, let's say, the extension of an idea. So an arm going up like this, the hand is kind of like the extension of a rhythmical idea that's already in process. But if you're more zoomed in, then it kind of takes on its own context, if that makes sense. I'm probably not saying that right. Hopefully you get the idea. So we have a tension point here. And then we have the heel. We can see the underside of the mass of the heel. Sitting in there. I think my foot is a bit short. Yeah, not much. Maybe it's okay. So we've got interesting kind of transition of light from light into shadow, and then the lit side of the form of the toes down here going into the shadow. We're going to consider that. Live stream about drawing from imagination would be a major direction change. Yeah, kind of. Like on the surface, it would appear that way, but I think what would be interesting is you'd see how much of that stuff actually does come into play when even drawing from the figure. Because if you want to talk about, like, you know, just what does it mean to be drawing from the imagination? Well, ultimately, it's about drawing from that vocabulary that you've built up, right? Which we are trying to use, hopefully, in our regular figure drawing too. We're kind of working with the vocabulary that we've developed over time. That's hopefully what's happening. So you can see where that ankle, where the tibia sits here, we've got, really do have, you know, tone sitting in there, bringing us to this foreshadow idea sitting in here. Shadow going up that way. Yeah, exactly. An exclamation point, the extension of an action. Look, yeah, as I said, unless you're zoomed in on something, those things are an extension of an idea. Because remember, it may, well, in the way that I was always taught, and which makes sense, is the largest forms tell us the most, right? That's why we start the drawing with the upper and the lower torso, and we expand out from there, right? And by that logic, hands and feet are kind of at the end of a chain, right? Like, if you think about it, you can maybe make a different argument for the foot, but if you think about it, for the most part, the hands are never the start of an action. I guess they could be if they're grabbing onto something. But, you know, like if I'm pointing like this, it's the torso, it's the arm, the hand is kind of like the final, as we said, you said the exclamation point, right? The one that I think is one of the greatest examples of this is the sternocleidomastoid muscle, coming from the neck, from the pit of the neck. And you've probably seen me talk about this a number of times, how it's the first line I draw because of where it attaches. It's basically essentially attached to the center line of the form. But I consider it to be an extension of what the torso is essentially doing, even from the feet up, from the legs. So if the head's going back like that sternocleidomastoid, it rhythmically is an extension of what's already happening, and that's how you can keep the rhythm and the dynamics in the pose. I think that sternocleidomastoid muscle attaching at the neck is by far, at least for me, the most important line to establish in the drawing. Okay. I think I'm going to get too much more into this one. Okay. It's kind of served its purpose. Showing a foot grounded, bearing weight is one of my pet peeves. Got to do it. But that's another very good point, Rick, is a foot bearing weight. The intention is a very different shaped foot to a foot in flight, so to speak, right? Yeah, I'll give you a real quick. I know most of you have seen me draw it 1,000 times, but I'll give you a really quick example of this sternocleidomastoid thing, because I think it's so important as an idea. I'll give you the 30-second version. Okay. Cool. Okay, let me show you this really, really quickly what I'm talking about. So imagine we've got an upper torso doing something like that. Maybe our lower torso is doing something like this, right? Let's find our center line doing something like that. Arch of the rib cage, going to be sitting in here. The cutout for the neck is going to be sitting in here, right? Maybe our manubrium is sitting about there. Maybe this clavicle is going up this way. Maybe this arm is going out like so, right? Okay. So the point being is we've got all of this rhythm, right? Like maybe our figure is dancing. Maybe this arm is up this way. From the manubrium, right here, here's our center line, right? If I extend with the sternocleidomastoid like that, right? Ear is going to be about here. Maybe this head is sitting in something like that, right? Then I can draw, and then there's the other side of the sternocleidomastoid. Then I can draw in the trapezius. Maybe this shoulder is sitting in here, pectorals coming down. Now I can draw in the trapezius and the other bits and pieces, sternocleidomastoid on that side, right? But look how that sternocleidomastoid coming from here is an extension of this center line. So rhythmically, it's by far the most important thing that will connect the head to the torso, far more than the lines coming from this side or from this side, right? Yeah, so that's why it's the extension of an idea, right? In the same way a hand or a foot could potentially be. Phoenix says, I would like to subscribe but not too keen to give my bank details to Google. Any alternative way? There will be a Phoenix coming up, possibly by this weekend. I'm going to make available so people can actually subscribe through my website. They don't have to go through YouTube. I don't know if that's any better or if you would consider that any more secure. It's all taken care of by Squarespace. I have nothing to do with the transactions, so to speak. But yeah, I'm going to make that available. I'm going to make it available as an alternate channel to be a member, because people have been having a real hard time connecting or becoming members on YouTube. And we don't necessarily need to do it that way. It'll be a pain in the tits for me, if I'm honest. But that's something I will, that's a burden I will bear. So yeah, that's coming. All right. He was working on a side method. Yeah, it's coming. Here's the. Okay, I won't bore you with the details. Yeah, it's coming. All right. Okay, sorry, I just need to clean my hand. Get my rag, which I'm now keeping in a plastic container because it was constantly drying out. Chad, gonna take Thursday mornings off to join us all on the live stream. That's awesome. Great to hear. Yeah, I think Squarespace is pretty safe. I've been using them for years as my website provider and never had any issue, and neither has anyone that's made a transaction through the site. Okay, so this next pose is a real typical. It's 2 feet, and it's such a typical pose that we'll see this kind of configuration of feet. So it feels like it's a great great one. I'm glad I could help, Rick. Okay, let's figured you might catch that. Maria, are these live drawing sessions scheduled? Yeah, every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. GMT, England time. So you can do the math. Okay, so I want to just get a global positioning for these 2 feet. Which isn't necessarily going to be super easy, but let's see. I'm drawing actually a center line between the 2 feet. I want to find this kind of large graphic shape. What I'm trying to find actually is that negative shape between the 2 feet, right? We've got this almost like V-like shape coming like so. We've got her left foot sitting about here, coming down. The feet are meeting at this point, coming down. About halfway down this line is the toe separation, right, from the heel. Then we got the heel, which is sitting here. Look at the direction change that we have. If our crease is here, on this side it's down here. We have a direction change doing something like that. Then we can see from there, we can almost kind of see where our ankle is attached, sitting in this region in here, and all that business with the bone, tarsus, metatarsus, etc., sitting in here. do for now, right? Ankle. Got the fibula. Remember that bone of the fibula sitting in here, or the end of the fibula. And I'm really just, you know, obviously it's a lot of observation and just looking for those direction changes among many other things. But just very rough overall large shape, like that will do for now. We can come back to this. Let's look at the other foot for a second. Look how big that big toe is. Sitting in there. Boom. And then we can group, really, really useful to group the 4 little toes together as a single shape, at least initially. And we can come in and, you know. So for this heel is about here, this one is actually quite a bit higher. It's up here. So that's fine. We can make that adjustment. No problem. Then we got the pads of the feet. So if our toes are here, right, that's where our dividing point is. I like to use the pads of the feet. This region in here is another kind of division point. So now we're starting to subdivide, right? We did it here too, and you can see right in there. These are our pads. Something like that. You sure you meant esoteric? Completely. If you look up classic foot shapes, the 3 classic foot shapes are Egyptian, Greek, and Roman. These shapes are categorized by the length of the toes and the arrangement of the foot. I don't dispute what you're saying as far as that being something if you look it up as classic feet shapes. But we are now talking about the difference of ideas of aesthetics through time. And I don't think that's necessarily a useful yardstick by which to measure. Although I haven't looked at what the source material that you're talking about, so, you know, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but I'll give you an idea. Through history, how many heads high a human has changed, depending on the time in history and what was in fashion at the time. Anything from 8 to 9.5 heads tall. For you know, we'll call what the equivalent of the Vitruvian Man, right? But this is a stylistic, an aesthetic choice of the time, a taste, so to speak. It doesn't mean that it's true, right? Does that make sense? Apparently 50% are Egyptian and 50% are Greek. Well, I think we're getting into something with evolution, biology now, right? Like, I could buy an argument about there being different shaped feet, but potentially by race. That could make sense to some degree, with small changes, as there is in the skull. If you look at the skull of different races, you can absolutely see different, very clear, stark differences in general proportion. I would imagine you could potentially see something like that with feet. But between Egyptian and Greek, 50% of what? 50% of the world's feet are shaped like Egyptian and 50% are shaped like Greek. This doesn't seem to me to be based in anything scientific that I could get behind. But I'm saying that without having, as I said, without having seen your source material or what it is. But just my knee-jerk reaction is, I need something based in a bit more science, not some Greek theologian's idea of ideal proportion and there were two camps. Does that make sense? 10% could be drawing more. I don't understand what you mean. Populations and genetics, probably a good point. You know, the Greeks came up with a lot of philosophy before most of the world had even been discovered, for want of a better term. So I'm skeptical to put too much weight on these ideas. Racial foot categorizing rant. Hey, no one can accuse us of not having range. Subdividing this large shape that I grabbed for the toes as a group. For those of you who have the reference, look at some of the, like, especially feels so evident with her right foot. There's some of the crazy direction changes we've got with the masses of those toes. I know some of it's from overlapped forms and that, but it's really fascinating. All right, I'm going to, so that's essentially it. So we're looking down at 2 feet. But for those who want context to what we're drawing, it's like we're basically looking down at our model who's got her feet on the floor here. And I do think maybe it's just worth drawing, or at least suggesting, that, you know, we can see the gluteus sitting here, right? She's kind of, she's sitting on her legs, if that makes sense, right? So we can see it just in the top part of the image, we can see this type of idea, just so you've got context to why we have feet doing what they're doing. Looked it up, and the first thing that came up included square and peasant as feet shape. I think that says it all, doesn't it? The toes definitely have personalities. I also find, though, like, maybe not in the case of this model, but when we're drawing feet, we do need to be a little mindful of our reference, only in as much as if we're drawing dancers, you know, there's a very good chance we're drawing someone that has jacked up feet. By the way, for those of you who don't already know, there's a new sub on the Discord channel, which is for painting. So it's a dedicated sub for painting. The painting can be digital, it can be traditional, obviously, it can be oil, acrylic, watercolor, you name it. But yeah, if you want to post paintings and that, that's the place. I also, for those of you who are regulars on the sub, we need to be a little bit more careful about where we're posting things. And it's not your fault, it's mine, because the sub is, or the Discord is super unclear about what is where. But I noticed that it's getting a bit of a jumble as far as where people are posting things. So I'm going to be renaming some of those categories, like put your stream drawings here. It's also weird that the chat sub also seems to be the landing page for everyone, which I need to change that. I'm also going to be adding an anatomy sub. So that's coming, where people can put anatomy related materials or studies, that type of thing. I'm also going to add a pet sub. Want to post pictures of your pets up? Well, I'm going to provide you a place to do that. So yeah, so that's all. That's all. Well, it's starting to be implemented. I'm also logging on to Discord now daily, which is a huge shift from the way things used to be. So yeah, you'll see me on there a lot more. So there you go. And yeah, when we get into the painting, obviously on the stream, it'll be a good place for us to post our progress. Things are afoot in the Discord. Nice. Nice. That's why they pay Lulu the big bucks. Let's move on to this other foot. Oh. Actually, that's too long. It's probably about there. Oh, did the music come to an end? Those are time consuming. Something like that. That'll get us in the ballpark. How do these feet belong to the same... How do these 2 feet belong to the same person? Imagine you're looking down at someone that's kneeling on the ground and we're behind them, we're looking down, right? So they're kneeling on the ground, their feet are behind them, their backside is here, right? That's how we're looking at the feet in this angle. That makes sense? I want to know how people capture the likeness of a face. Well, that's a big question. And there are many different approaches, and there are tons of channels that focus on that stuff that might be better suited than me getting into an explanation here while I'm drawing feet. That makes sense. Yeah. If you don't know the model and show random people the art, they will never realize the picture drawing the model. All right, well, there you go. Let's see now. We have the mass of volume of the heel. In there. And we can see that back of the sneaker idea, right? Sitting in here. So you can get that volume sitting in there. Coming in, and then the mass of that ankle sitting in here. Struggling Saint, welcome. Glad to have you aboard. If you go to the community chat tab on the channel, you will see a link to where the reference is. Okay, I'm going to start thinking about some core shadows. I think I've got in the large ideas here. All right. Not even core shadows, really, just where form is turning. It's subtle. Should put a hard tag down on the face, comment. Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Come on now. Okay. We got the cast shadow sitting in here. Got a cast shadow coming off. The buttocks there. Thank you, Evan. Appreciate it. Things have got a little bit too messy. I want to just tidy this up a little bit. Too crazy with the way things turned out here with the cast shadow. I think I don't like what it's done to the drawing. Yeah, it is what it is. Alright. I never started the timer. No one told me. So no one cared. It's okay. Yeah, I didn't either. not meh. Went into the meh zone. Okay, I'm gonna call it there. Ba-ba-ba. All right. I think I was never concentrated as tonight. The Achilles tendon. Yeah, well, it's interesting because it's like, you know, you've got it, it's visible a little bit there, kind of where it connects to the heel, but you don't really, it's not super visible. Anyway, look, this didn't turn out too great, but it's fine. It's fine. Can't be any worse than my drawing in the last stream. That is for sure. Okay, so we have, once again, we've got 2 feet here doing quite different things. There is a temptation. I was going to say there's a temptation to only draw one, but we'll draw both. I'll definitely need to obviously move to landscape mode. So just let me get my landscape board quickly. Drawing in the car is actually pretty good. Clipboard on my steering wheel, iPad on the dashboard. Nice! Yeah, why not? It's always scared me. Yeah, me too. Yeah, they're not so bad, are they? They're not so bad. You just have to kind of, you know, look at them and if you understand just a little bit about the anatomy with feet, it helps an awful lot. All right. Which questions do you ask yourself after completing a drawing? All the question asking is done once the drawing is over, Tosh. If there's any questions to be asked, it'll happen during the process. The only question that comes after the completing of the drawing is this a drawing that's going in the fire tonight, or is this one going to survive another day? Last stream's drawings were all in the fire very shortly after the stream. That's only the question. I think we've probably got some fire starters here tonight too, which is fine. Okay, let's do the next pose. I'll actually start the timer this time, because why not? Now, got to resist the temptation to draw this too big. So, got our ankle sitting in here, right? What do we want to do? We want to find our sneaker. In my opinion, we're better off thinking in terms of boxes for toes than cylinders. We look at where the form turns here, right? We've got the top plane sitting in here. Look at the way all these tendons, the origin point, kind of coming from there. Now, where is this other foot? I may end up, because I think if I draw to proper scale, I think my foot will be off the page. I'm going to lift, pull the right leg forward of this, you know, in this direction a little bit, just to give myself the real estate that I need. That will help. Okay. At least those 2 feet are roughly the right size to each other, even though this one is a little bit forward. I think I'll take it, so to speak. Okay. It's funny how quiet chat goes when we draw complicated things. Well, so how quiet I go. Yeah. Yeah, the other thing I'm going to be working on tomorrow, actually this all ties in nicely with the idea of membership being available up from the website as well, is I'm going to be providing a FAQ page about the stream that will hopefully help simplify it and make things easier for those who want to sign up. Tendon sitting here, creating some compression. So as much learning is occurring, stuff processing new information. Yeah, and you know, here's the thing, you know, we draw the figure all the time, but you know, we rarely, if ever, actually focus in on the feet or tie them down in any meaningful way. Also, you know, one thing I see an awful lot, and I'm guilty of it myself, is people abandoning extremities on their figure drawings. Feet, hands, heads, basically anything that's difficult to draw. Look, as I said, I'm guilty of it too, but we really need to try and not abandon the extremities. Like, yeah, they're not necessarily going to get as much of attention, but the amount of time I'll see people's drawing and it's like, oh, I've drawn a lovely figure, and then you get to like the hands and the feet and they just turn into ghosts. You should call the new page What the Fact. Rick. Gold, my friend. Gold. You new members, you wonder why we have people like Rick around? That's why we have people like Rick around. What more do you want if you don't want that? Well, be like, really? Can't help you otherwise. The way that pinky is just kind of rotated inwards. Interesting. Okay. Just looked at my foot on the screen, which is always an interesting, fresh perspective on the drawing. Nah, not working at all. Looks better if I just look down at it. I'd like to say light and tone will save it, but there's so little light and tone going on in this image. Right, let's keep going. I think. I don't know what I think. That's probably not. This tendons being so aggressive is not helping. One of my pet peeves. What's that? The abandoned drawing syndrome. Yeah. 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 But it's something you see all the time. Look, I get it. It's human nature, right? But I think it is definitely something. It's a bad habit, you know, like. The way I see it, hands, face, and feet are really complex and require their own separate focus to study and practice. So they are noise when practicing figure drawing, especially at the start. That's an incredibly good point, Lulu. And it is very true that they are almost, they are an area of study. Each one of those is an area of study in their own right. I 100% agree. At the same time, even an attempt at a quick shorthand foot, you know, like if we're drawing, say, from the front, let's imagine we have an ankle, right? Remember, higher on the inside, lower on the outside. You know, even a foot that is, you know, shorthanded to something like that is better than no foot at all, right? Like, or maybe not. But you know, that's like as basic as it can get, but you won't even get that most of the time, right? You'll just get it'll taper off into non-existence. I think that's the issue. But I completely agree that they do, all three of them are almost separate subjects in their own right. 100%. And look, I don't do enough foot or hand study at all. As I said, I looked back and we've done what, 185 streams now, and we've done hand and feet studies once before in 185 streams. That is, well, I think it says a lot about how much people practice hands and feet. And I'm pretty sure the last time we did them, we all kind of agreed that it's something we should be doing more of. And then here we are, 40 streams later, you know? Yeah, this is incredibly difficult to light. The lighting, we've got two pretty intense light sources on these legs coming from both directions, one behind and one in front on this side. And it's just creating it's taking away an awful lot of potential dynamics. And I am not feeling confident at all about doing a conceptual light pass on this. Like, I guess we could. I'm more tempted to move on to the next drawing. Purely because we're... How many more images do we have to work from? Yeah, I think we probably should move on. I don't think we're going to get through all of these either. I think I'm going to forego, although it's a really deadly foot. Okay, well, look, we're going to get democratic here. We got 3 images left. and I want to know which, and we've got 25 minutes left, and we could easily spend 25 minutes on any one of the next 3 images. Or do we want to go to faster poses? We could do a 10 for the next one. God, that's a great foot, this next image. Then number 5 is relatively pedestrian pose, and then number 6 is a complex pose in its own right. So I need you guys to chip in your advice or what you want to do here. Mila says she votes for the next one, always like an early voter, so that I'm fine with that. The next one is pretty cool, isn't it? It's just very similar to pose number 1, but from a different angle. The next one, and then number 5 as a 1-minute sketch. Oof. I have fun doing the detail. Let's just do one. Well, look, why don't we do this then? We'll move on to, let's move on to pose number 4. And then will this take us to the end of the session? Potentially. We can always save. We could always save the last poses for another time. Yeah, look, I think that we can all agree that we could all use a bit more foot practice. So I don't think anyone's going to be too upset if we come back to feet in the not too distant future. All right, let's move on to number 4. You see, Margie's saying number 5, but number 5 is... Let's see, maybe we'll do number 5 as a really quick pose at the end. Number 6, I think, is just too... It's beautiful pose, and I love what the feet are doing in this pose, but I think it's for another time. I think that's for the next session. Let's do number 4. Number 4, only tone, says Owen. Rick's saying 5. You guys are all going for the easy foot. Come on, come on. All right, we'll do number 4. Because it's definitely one I'm leaning towards. It's so much fun. And we really get, what is nice about number 4 is we really get a chance to look at how that Achilles tendon is connecting with the heel, and the box-like shape that the heel is making, I think is really, it's a lovely opportunity to study that. So let's do that. We'll do number 4, and then let's see about number 5 and 6. Either now or another time. Yeah, I agree. Number 6 is almost like, you know, when we do that one pose per session that's like the foreshortened lying down pose type thing. Number 6 is one of those in its own right. It's funny because when I was putting this together, it's like, oh, this is not, you know, do we need to do like a bunch more poses? Like, it's amazing how this stuff will, you know, keep you busy. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking my pencil situation here. All right. You'll do. Let me reset the clock. And let's do this. I'm finding the major direction changes first, right? Those really large ideas. because we got like this 1, 2, 3 kind of rhythm thing going on here. And these different points here are fairly evenly spaced between these 3. Which just as a, you know, starting off point is quite useful. Heel sitting in here, and we can really treat this very much kind of like a box sitting in space, right? Something like that. Right? That Achilles tendon coming up this way. My measurement is off. It's okay, I actually think I want to go longer, so I'm going to go with it. Using this crease as a dividing point. So this is actually here. Yeah. This is further down to right here. The way those toes are all kind of, you just without looking at it the way that we are, you just wouldn't expect the toe configuration to be the way it is. Super fascinating. Something like that. You're finished already. Nice one, Rick. Wow. It's been a long morning, huh? David Lynch died. Is that right? No kidding. Did he? Sorry, I need to look up something now. David Lynch dies age 78. I wanted to look something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Well, there you go. 78, huh? In this day and age, that feels young. Dude was a freaky genius. You know, yeah, exactly. You know, to say I was a fan would be a little, I don't know what even the right term is. Like, his stuff was just unsettling. You know, it's like always interesting. Guy was never short of an interesting idea, but yeah, he had a unique vision. Of that, there is no doubt. Didn't he do Pink Flamingos? I think he did. Was it him? Oh no, that's John Waters. That's right. Great master of body horror. Wow. Giga still has his crown coming to unsettling at least. Yeah, look, both major contributors to almost genre creating artists, both of them, you know. There you go. All right. I think roughly my proportions are about right. That direction change happens a bit sooner, but there. Getting these little mangled toes. Heel. Slight tension from that Achilles tendon. Interesting. John Waters is gonna die. Sorry about that. It's my fault. Yeah. Okay. And then the bones, excuse the pun, the bones of the drawing are there. Let's have a look at some light now. So we obviously have a major light source coming from this direction, which is going to be my main focus. I am tempted to largely ignore the light direction coming from this side, because it's creating a rim light effect that I just don't think we need or necessarily want. We'd rather describe form with the dominant light source, would be my feeling. So let's do that to start with, and then we'll see where we're at. Someone say Lynch was a smoker. I'm guess he was a smoker, huh? Thanks, Amos. Appreciate it. Very surprised if he wasn't. Lynch comes across as someone who smoked 3 packs a day for 40 years and didn't think twice about it. Alright, let's lock in a little bit of tone here. See where we're at. Mel Gibson was headed in the same direction as Lynch. He did a stem cell treatment in Mexico. He says he's doing well. When you say he was heading in the same direction as Lynch, what direction was Lynch heading in? I don't know anything about had COPD due to long time smoker. I don't know what COPD is. I'm going to guess it's some smoking related disease. A style, did I say? Take it as a compliment, I think. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, emphysema. Not a great way to go. Kong, Vietnam. Kong? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Probably not. Apologies. I'll apologize up front because I'm almost 100% sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Sorry. Well, welcome. Good to have you here. Although we are rapidly coming to an end for today, but we'll be back. We'll be back for sure. You will actually be back on Monday. Yeah. It's funny, I've been talking about Vietnam a lot lately. I think we're going to be, well, I say we're going to make a trip. Talk about making a trip to Vietnam. But I don't know if it'll ever happen. I think I'm going to call it there, guys. Guys and gals. Those, well, you know what? Hold on just a second. Just see if we can just pull, just find some more out of this fighting town. Too much. Right, you know what? I'm gonna leave it, because I know I'll just wreck it. And Thank you all. Guys, it's been fun. Yes. Thank you all. Thanks for hanging out. What genre of music is playing in the background? Asks Run It. I don't know what genre you would call this. The track is called They Dream by Day by Mellifera. It's on Epidemic Sound. I don't know what would you call it? I don't see the track handily on the list of where they show what the genre is. Anyhow, ambient. Yeah, there you go. Ambient. This is good a way of putting it as any. Guys, we made it. If you listen real closely, you can hear the weekend approaching. So whatever it is that you may do with your weekend, I hope you have a fantastic one. Really and truly. I hope you come out of the other side of the weekend when we meet on Monday going, you know what, that might just be one of the best weekends I ever had. How nice would that be? Well, look after yourselves, guys. Be safe. Do me a favor. Hit the like or dislike button on your way out. I don't think YouTube cares whether it's positive or negative a reaction. They just want a reaction. Something. So I'm gonna leave it to you. Really, thanks for joining me. It's been fun. We'll do it all again next week. Take care. And keep an eye on Discord. For those of you who are new, go check out the Discord channel. You'll find a link in the community chat. You'll see an invite to the Discord channel. Click on that. Go over there. Feel free to post your drawings. You might even get some friendly critiques, should you wish. It's a good time over there. It's going to be a better time. We've got all kinds of plans for the Discord channel. It's a wonderful place for us to hang out when there's no stream. When you want even more, you can have more. I'm out of here. I'll see you all next week. Take care. Cheers. Bye.